So section number 2. And now we go to analysis. What is the scope of biblical prohibition and its rabbinical extension? So we spoke about the biblical and rabbinical, how they connect, and here is the first case. And it says, under the biblical prohibition, midaraisa, it is forbidden only to make a lasting inscription, right? Meaning lasting, that it's going to last for some period of time. Okay. That is, when writing, one must apply durable pigment, for example, ink, lead paint, to a surface on which it will endure. For example, paper, parchment, wood. When carving or molding, the material used must be one that retains the shape. Okay, so before we continue, let's try to understand. So on biblical level, in order to transgress this prohibition of writing, person has to write with something that is durable. Right? Durable means like ink or paint or something else. Right? That meaning whatever we write is going to stay there. Okay, and plus on a surface that is fit for writing, like on piece of like on wood, on a parchment, on the paper, on something, on a wall, I guess. So yeah, so it's going to stay there, right? So that would be forbidden on biblical level. Okay, when carving and molding, the material used must be to retain its shape. So what would not retain its shape? I don't know, maybe ice cream or something, but maybe from ice or something. But all other materials, like I think that they would retain its shape. However, the term lasting does not mean that the writing must be able to endure forever. Rather, it means that it must be able to last long enough that the person who wants to write something that will be remembered for a considerable period will rely upon this type of writing. Writing with a pencil is therefore considered lasting double quotes, and is forbidden under biblical law. So before we continue, let's try to understand this. So lasting. And we're actually going to use this term lasting in some other instances. For example, in making a knot, tying a knot. Right? Is it lasting knot or not lasting knot? Right? Are you planning to undo it, or are you planning it forever? And forever, like our lasting, we will say, maybe according to some stricter opinion, more than 24 hours. It's already lasting. According to others, more than like 7 days is lasting. Right, so it's very important to know that there is some, since there are different opinions, so we try to go by the stricter one. Okay. So again, the term lasting does not mean that writing must be able to endure forever. Like what the chisel something on a stone or something, right? So that would be more on the forever side. Rather, it means that it must be able to last long enough that the person who wants to write something that will be remembered for a considerable period will rely upon this type of writing, right? Meaning that a person who writes and maybe like 3 days later, 5 days later, or tomorrow night he wants to go back and see what it was written, so he realized that it's going to stay there. Maybe it's going to stay for a year, maybe, I don't know, somebody is going to raise it, but it's a different story, right? So if it's going to be get erased by itself, it's not lasting. I mean, soon. Okay. Writing with a pencil is therefore biblically considered lasting. But we understand, if you write something with a pencil, it's going to stay. Yeah, it's going to, but it's going to fade away. When? I don't know, in some period of time. And so even though this writing with a pencil forbidden under the biblical law. Continue. However, writing with a pigment that tends to fade easily, for example, fruit juice, on a surface from which it's bound to fade, for example, leaves, as well as writing that can be erased with a single sweep, for example, letters formed from breadcrumbs, is not considered lasting and does not fall under the biblical prohibition. So before we continue, let's understand what we said here. Right. So now, before that, we were speaking about the pigment that is going to stay there for some time. They say, what the word we used? Permanent, lasting, right? Now that we're talking about the pigment that is not lasting fruit juice. If you have like a good quality, this orange juice. So technically, if you dip your finger, so you can write, right? You can write, or I would say maybe not a commercial one. They like a lot of water. But if you squeeze your own, yeah, it's it's very dense, and you can write, right? But is it going to stay? It's not going to stay, right? It says that tend to fade easily, right? And plus, if person writes on a surface that is not that is not going to hold the ink, to hold the pigment, for sure it's not forbidden on a biblical level, right? The example that he gives a leaf. Okay. But on another hand, if you take this orange juice and you write on a piece of paper or something that absorbent, it's going to last for some time. Right, so here he gives extreme example, meaning that the pigment is not going to last, and surface that is not going to absorb it. Okay. Or in another example, he said that, for example, people, I don't know, like people have nothing to do in their life, and they make these crumbs, they waste bread, make crumbs, and they would put some kind of shape, right, without connection. It's separate crumbs, so they would put some make some shape. So since you can destroy this in a single sweep, so it's not considered to be lasting. Okay, so they're not forbidden on a biblical level, but on a rabbinical level, we'll see. Furthermore, the biblical law only writing meaningful letters and figures forbidden. Making a mark that has no inherent meaning does not fall under the biblical prohibition. Finally, under the biblical law, it is forbidden only to write in a usual manner with the hand with which one ordinarily writes. The sages, however, extended the prohibition to include certain forms of writing not covered by biblical law. The following the list of rabbinical enactments. So before we continue with rabbinical, let's finish with biblical. Right, again, so under the biblical law, forbidden meaningful figures, letters or figures. Everything is meaningful. So simple shapes, as we said, there is no problem. Making marks has no inherent meaning, does not fall under the biblical prohibition. Right, but we're going to see sometimes person wants to mark the page where he left, so he will scratch with a nail. Right, it's a simple line, but it means something to him. For me, not. Maybe I passed that page, but for that person, yes, it means something. Right, so, but it's not meaningful mark.